Does technical analysis actually work? I've received a lot of comments lately saying that it's stock astrology or some sort of witchcraft, that it's completely made up. But I'm going to prove to you in this video why you are wrong and why it actually does matter and why it should be something that you are using when you actually enter or exit a trade. Because otherwise you just subscribe to the idea that you should just invest into an ETF or an index and just put your money in there for the rest of your life. And maybe you'll receive 8 to 10% every year, just depending. Hopefully you don't buy right before a recession. You're just kind of mindless at that point. You subscribe to this random walk, efficient market hypothesis that there is no edge in the market for you to be made unless you have insider information, which is what they usually teach you in business school. But I'm here to tell you that not only does technical analysis work, but it's also subscribed to from a lot of industry professionals. I'm sure even quants and algorithms are also built into volume profile, looking at support and resistance levels, looking at trend lines, trend reversals, all of those things. I'm sure those are also built into the algorithm. And of course, it is also driven by behavioral finance. So let's first start with looking at Tesla stock. You can see here, this is the daily chart over the last 2 decades. And you see that its price has moved over time. I also have the volume down here with the earnings dates. But if you weren't a technical trader, you would just assume that this move that happened in 2020 all the way to the upside, this was all driven by a fundamental shift in the underlying business. They started selling more Teslas. Revenue was improving, the growth rates. Maybe you did a DCF analysis where you just value the company based on its future cash flows. And you made a bunch of assumptions with that as well, which are probably confirmation bias more than anything. You could easily just look at what analysts are rating the stock. Right now it's at $308 for the 1-year price target, which is where it's currently trading. So it's fair value. No point in buying Tesla today because that's what they say the value of the company is. But really, I'm not trying to say that none of those things matter, because you should also be looking at the company's financials, its revenue growth, its balance sheet. Does it have good management? Are they looking at some sort of partnership or acquisition? Do they have some sort of actual moat in their business? All those things are important, especially if you're long-term investing, but it's also important in the short term, right? Because right now, what do you have here with Tesla? You have all these whipsawing back and forth because Elon's unstable. Is he still friends with Trump? I don't know. So price has been more of like a headline-driven movement over the last several weeks and months. And really, if you were looking back here in 2020, technical analysis, a technician rather, would look at, well, it broke out of all-time highs and then it started pushing to the upside, and price likes to move in accumulation and distribution, and so it consolidated here a few times and then it broke out of this level, then it pushed higher. Hard to really say where it's going to stop when there's no price discovery, right? There's no history on historical price as it's pushing newer and newer highs. But ultimately, this move that played out back in late 2020 into early 2021, this was the S&P 500 inclusion. That was when Tesla was getting added, and it was one of the largest companies, if not the largest, being added. And trying to fit that size of company into the S&P 500 would cause a host of buying from funds and funds of funds and leveraged ETFs and all these different funds that track the index. And that would mean that they would have to buy Tesla stock price agnostic. Doesn't matter what the price is, they're buying because it's added into the weighting of the S&P 500. And we knew that move was happening. We made like a 20x trade on that. So that was a nice play. And of course, you didn't even need to look at the chart. You could just assume that going into futures roll, they would be added into the S&P 500 ahead of time on like December 11th it was. And then it got added a bit later. Then it had a continuation a bit higher as the market continued to rally. But nevertheless, you could have just been a technical trader. You didn't have to know any of that. And it broke out of this pattern and it pushed higher, and you would have made 20x or maybe not as much because maybe you wouldn't have held into the S&P 500 inclusion date. But nonetheless, you could assume that technical analysis is kind of like fundamental analysis, because the technician, and this is really what switched in my brain why technical analysis works. So I'm going to say this a bit slower, but it's because technical analysis discounts all available public information into the stock price. So let me say that again. It discounts all public available information into the stock price. So like the person who's doing the DCF and price is going higher because they believe, and maybe there's some sort of news or headline that actually makes this move happen. It's happening also at the same time from the technical trader is like, well, price is going up because something is improving in the business or it's a macro driven event, right? So it's really the chicken or the egg in some sense. But nonetheless, let me just show you a couple different tips and tricks with technical analysis. And I'll probably make this into a series because it's a lot to cover. But first, let's just look at volume profile because it's extremely important to understanding price structure, support and resistance levels. Really, the technician only has volume and price on a chart. Those are the two variables at play. And so it's extremely important to have a strong fundamental understanding of why that actually matters and why price likes to move in certain ways relative to support and resistance levels. And there's no other better way than looking at volume profile. So you can see here at the bottom, this is price by time. And then on the right, you have price by volume, right? This is how much volume was traded at those specific prices. And you can see that because Tesla was trading at such a low level for an extended period of time, that all the volume is down here in this like $25 range, right? And you can kind of see like in the shelf of volume, you have these high volume nodes and low volume nodes. You have areas where there's a peak, you have areas where there's a trough, and you kind of can just look at it over time and see how in this price ladder, if you will, you see that there's areas where people found the fair value of the business because the stock price is always constantly pinging all information in the market to find the fair value. And back then, there was these different little areas, but over the long term, a lot of people found value at Tesla in this 20 to 25 range. Now, this isn't useful today for the current stock price because price has moved out of there, right? So, if I was just looking at this here, like this is kind of where the start of all that volume is. And then you have like a few different nodes here. And then look, you have this gap in volume. There's actually some areas where there's no volume. So it's like a complete zero volume gap. And then it came up into this area and then had some high volume area there as well. And if you look to the left, you can kind of see, well, that kind of matches with, where this actually bounced. It found support there at this peak on the volume profile, the histogram that you're seeing. And then also down here, well, in the COVID crash, it was breaking out of this area, right? And then it came back down and retested it. Well, guess what? It hit this high volume shelf and then it just bounced from there because a bunch of people already knew that Tesla, I bought the Tesla stock at $26. It's coming back down there. I'm not going to sell. There's so many other buyers in here that were interested in doing business that it's really difficult for price to try to get through that, right? It's like cemented that there's buyers there. There's pretty much no way Tesla's going to trade back down there unless it like went bankrupt or something like that. But look what happened. The COVID crash, it found volume. It hit that volume shelf and then it bounced all the way back to highs. And then it actually broke out where there's like no volume. You saw that breakout over previous highs. And then it started to consolidate. There was like another area where people were like, okay, well, buyers and sellers were doing business. They were finding fair value there. And then eventually it pushed higher, right? So you kind of have this ladder that forms in price. And a healthy volume profile is going to have, a lot of different humps throughout here over time. If it was really just one hump, no volume, then it's not really standing on anything, right? Think of price volume. The volume profile is like you have a village, there's the price of apples, it's at $10 per apple. It's an expensive apple, I know, but there's like a flood that happens and maybe the price goes up because apples are more scarce, it's harder to make them. And then there's a drought and it goes even higher, but eventually it comes back to $10 because that's kind of like the price that everyone agreed upon, right? So that's kind of like that support level. Maybe it's the fair value of apples in that village. And that's kind of the same thing here with the stock chart, right? You have all these different market participants who are trying to either buy or sell the stock and find the fair value of the company, right? So as this price moves much higher, you can see that there's peaks and troughs in the volume profile, and price likes to move between these different levels, right? So you're using the history of price behavior of market participants to understand where price is going to go. Now let's take it one step further. We're going to use volume profile in the short term on Tesla. This is back to January 2023. I like to look at it from like one of the more recent lows. And that's important because there's also a recency bias in a stock price. Obviously, when we were looking at price in the 20s, that doesn't really factor into price today. People are trading in and out. They're constantly switching hands of shares. And, we were looking at Tesla from a couple different levels. Obviously, we had this gap in price that you saw here. It gapped up here as well. So this was on earnings, and then it had another gap, and it pushed to the upside. But when this whole downtrend was happening, we were looking for some sort of level of support. And you can kind of see here there's like a low volume node, as well as price was bouncing from that level. Of course, it was bouncing a little bit more from where that gap actually started to form, as well as this higher volume node in the lower volume area of these two higher volume peaks, right? So looking at the different peaks, you have a fair value here around like 250. And then you also have fair value down here around 196. And then even in this high volume peak, there's a low volume node and a higher volume peak as well. But let's just look at 196, which is the start of this higher volume node, because that's the more important one, right? Like that's the closest to where the current price is. But nonetheless, you can see that price kind of ping-ponged between these two different levels, right? And you can see it happening here. You can see it happening here. You see it happening here. And then you see it also happening here to the upside. You see it happening here to the upside. And so people are finding fair value of Tesla between this like 200 level all the way to 250. And price was kind of moving quickly in between these areas. But look what happens when it was in that high volume area. Well, buyers and sellers were okay with that price, and they were just shifting shares over that period of time. And then it would move in between the low volume node, and it would either reject at the low volume node and go back into high volume node, or it would get through the low volume node and go into the higher volume node. And then eventually it started pushing out of this higher volume node and pushing to the upside. And look what kind of happened here as well. You had a lot of chopping going on here at this time. If we look at volume profile up until this point, you can see that there was no volume up here because these are all-time highs. And eventually it pushed through that, and it was able to break out to the upside and had that push. And there's no volume here during that time, right? On this volume profile, there was no volume here historically. And so price was just pushing through. Eventually, buyers got exhausted. Sellers started showing up, taking profit, things like that. And then we had a retest of that area. We broke that down, came back here into this low volume node, chopped through the high volume node again. And we rejected in that low volume area. And we had this really strong dump. We got through this high volume area to this low volume area. And then we kind of ping pong chopped around in this area, but ultimately we started breaking out of some of these trend lines and then pushing higher. But really what I was looking for when price came down was looking for these low volume areas, these previous candles where it found support, because ultimately I'm trying to get an idea of the market sentiment, right? Are buyers able to actually step in here? Are sellers weakening? All of those things actually matter. And of course, understanding the structure of price, not only by time, but also by price, will give you the idea of where price is ultimately going to find either support or resistance. And that's really important if you are a short-term trader, because if you're buying at resistance, it's probably going to dump onto you. If you're shorting at support, then it's probably going to bounce and they're going to blow you out and you're going to have to cover from your position. So just understanding the chart and these different levels is alone enough for for you to take it seriously that this is something that actually has value, right? Now, of course, there's a lot of like bull flags and things like that people subscribe to, and those are more about like market sentiment, behavior. There's certain patterns that form in the market that are observed historically, and there's momentum traders that are playing the breaks of these different patterns, and that makes sense too, right? Because ultimately active participants in the market are controlling the price of the stock. The people who are invested in their 401k, who are not looking or trading the stock actively, those shares are locked up, and therefore only the activity that is occurring on the stock is moving it, right? So if enough people actually subscribe to a specific idea, it can have an impact on the stock price. And that's nothing more clear than just looking at GameStop, which is mainly driven by speculation. Same thing with Bitcoin, why these certain patterns happen when really all the information you have available to you on Bitcoin is the price of Bitcoin. So of course, there's a lot of different things that I can cover, and I'm going to go more into that, and I'm going to make this into a bit of a series, but I hope you learned something here. I'm kind of rambling a bit at this point. I hope you liked the video, subscribe, and make sure you guys join the Discord. I'm going to be hosting some live calls where you can ask questions as well. But drop a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Peace.